started working for Mark and Met at the Spare Room as not only like a bar back, but also I started to introduce food into their menus and their offerings. I would do different things a night and help them with like catered events and stuff. They did a boron puree like cocktail competition one time, and I used some of their savory purees and like made a menu and like fed them, and it was just kind of those like really random reasons to have food, but they were there. They were the opportunities, and so I was, able to go downstairs in the kitchen and cook because I knew that place, and then go upstairs and be a part of a bar and a lounge and like an evening vibe that does not exist in restaurants. It's much more secluded and different understanding. And the way that they taught me how to approach food, because you're approaching food in a bar, they were so concerned about the smell of the food because of, the smell of the bar and the drinks, and they don't want it to interfere, and they want it to blend, but you don't want it to be strong. And so it just created another opportunity of learning for me as a chef, as understanding my venue and really being able to enhance the atmosphere instead of just be the star of the show. Like there are two successful ways to have those types of experiences. It's not one or the other. Both can be equally successful. Just depends on what your, feeling is. And so I learned a lot there. And I just got to the point where it was restrictive in my own creative ability, as far as like I felt mature enough to create food, but I felt immature enough as a professional to still want to have a mentor in the kitchen. And I kept hearing this name like Jeremy Fox in like Eater or something. He was like at Paper and Plastic for like a minute, and then he was gonna open something in Venice for a second, and just like all this random stuff, and he never really opened, and everyone was like interested in this name, and I didn't know who the chef was. I didn't know about Ubuntu. I didn't know about Manresa. Like, I wasn't that kind of professional that knew the history. Yeah. My professionalism of this career kind of just was like opportunistic. It was just whatever came my way, I took it, rather than like, oh, I know so much history of this, and that's what I want to create for myself. Yeah. And when I saw Rustic Canyon, I was living in Redondo Beach, and I was commuting to Hollywood every day, so I really wanted to find something on the west side that was closer, and that was like really my only interest. And I interviewed with Jeremy. I ate dinner there with my mom before I staged, and he came out to the table, and the food was incredible. It was like some of the best food I've had in LA at that time. I was just like, oh my god, this guy's like, this food's delicious. Yeah. This is incredible. And it wasn't vegetarian. It was like pork belly and all this good stuff. So I staged. I liked the kitchen. I liked the environment, the work environment. I thought his food was great. And I started as a cook.
How long had it been open when you went?
So Rustic Canyon was open for 6 years by the time Jeremy got there. And Evan Funke was the chef prior to him.
Okay.
Who created a burger that is like, regarded as the best burger in Los Angeles. So Rustic Canyon, when Jeremy came into the picture, was all about this burger. And that was like the level of cuisine that the clientele was kind of expecting. They knew with Josh and Zoe and like what Huckleberry was, and Milo and Olive and Sweet Rose Creamery, like these things were opening, and the brand was kind of being created. But Rustic Canyon was always farmers market driven. It was always fresh, kind of in the essence of being a platform for what's available at the market. And obviously Jeremy, being who he is, can highlight that better than anyone else. And so he came in January of 2013. Yeah. And I was hired in March of 2013. I was the first cook he hired from inheriting the team that was there previously. I was like one of the first outsiders in that he hired for the team. That was March. By November of the same year, David Kinch had Manresa cookbook dinner at Rustic Canyon. And he brought Jessica Largy down, and
she's amazing.
And Carlos Salgado was there helping prep, and we this cookbook dinner. And this is like Jeremy Fox is to me as David Kinch is to Jeremy Fox. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have your mentor.
Yeah, your guy.
Just kind of, teaches you the ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a huge deal. And Jeremy didn't have his like second in charge team wasn't really there for him, because they inherited him.
Yeah.
Per se. Actually, one of them was not even there doing Chopped. So I kind of stepped in, just as, being someone who had enough experience to be like, okay, we need to organize this.
Yeah.
I know organization. I know that this needs some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of stepped in to become that second in command for Jeremy during that time. And Jessica Largy and I actually stood side by side and worked a station together. And I saw her work, and I looked at her, and I was like, okay, I want whatever you have. Like this, you are the calmest, the coolest, the most incredible technician. Your food is incredible. Like, and her and I are deep, like, soul sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. I love everything about our friendship and our relationship together, and everything that we've both been through. We've been there for each other, and that was the start of something incredible for me, of that Manresa dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Because it showed that Jeremy and I could work together in a management space, and he allowed me the opportunity to practice that. And then seeing this other female, like Tassandra Chavez, who was my dance company director, seeing this other female who was in a kitchen for David Kinch, this person that kind of, is this beautiful being working magic in a kitchen. Okay, there is something achievable here for me.
Yeah.
And I need to create that for myself. And what I learned at Rustic will be forever my foundation of knowledge.
Yeah.
Of everything. Of not only P&Ls and COGS, but of management, of the farmer's market, of vegetable work, of technique, of just all of it. And so I gradually, got promoted just because of the amount of effort I put into it.
Yeah.
I wasn't dancing anymore. I wasn't working double jobs. I was dedicated to Rustic Canyon. This is what I have.
Yeah. So something Chef John, Chef Kat's husband told me is, he was like, you don't become sous chef the day they're like, hey, you're a sous chef now. It's like you become sous chef by doing sous chef things, and then that's recognized.
Yep.
And then you become a sous chef.
Yep.
So that's what you did. And did you know you were doing that? Were you like, this is going to get me this next step? Or like, this is just how I work? Yeah.
And I didn't know the history of that understanding. My job experience was like, okay, open this restaurant. Okay, open this one in its hotel. Okay, introduce some food into a bar. Okay, you're just prep at Inc. You're not even working service. Like, I never really fully expressed myself as a manager ever, except in that kitchen. Because I felt so at home. Because I felt so comfortable in my skin there.
And he empowered you to do so.
And he taught me what was right for the space and allowed me to manage it in my own style. And I think that's kind of where him and I created our symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
You're giving me what I'm giving you, and that's exactly what we need right now. And then Rustic was like number 6 and then number 5 on Jonathan Gold's list. And then we started getting press. And then he's nominated for a James Beard Award. And then we're like, then it's the 10-year anniversary and we're bringing all these chefs back. And then the cookbook comes out and he's, outspoken about his journey. And we go to New York and we go to Chicago and we're cooking together. And we completed each other as a team. If him and I are there, we're good.
Yeah.
We're solid. We've got it. No problem. Doesn't matter where we are. Doesn't matter what we're cooking. Doesn't matter if we fuck everything up. We got it. Like, we get it about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I built a lot of connections with those opportunities that I now see of incredible importance and incredible, not only blessed, but just humble, giving thanks to what Jeremy was able to provide for me.
Yeah.
You've got to understand what people give to you.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Provide for
100%.
you to understand how to reciprocate that for someone else when the time comes.
Yeah.
And so during Rustic, I think Chef Jeremy really wanted me to have an opportunity of opening my own restaurant, because Rustic, again, it was always a concept restaurant. It wasn't even Jeremy's concept restaurant. Like, we moved the menu into where it was as a complete, reciprocation of that, like, farmer's market, pick of the day, almost.
Yeah.
Like pick of the week. Like, no, literally pick of the day. On Wednesday we would make a dish, and then on Saturday when a new vegetable is out, we come out and we make a dish on Saturday. Like, we were changing the menu constantly. And keeping, like, 23% food cost. Like, keeping it consistent for years. Just like, okay, we got this. Like, we're hitting this stride. And always the opportunity came up. Tallulah's opened during the time I was at Rustic. Esther's opened up during the time that Rustic was. Cassia opened. It's like, all of these opportunities. The company was growing. But none of those projects I was interested in.
Yeah, you were just like, Rustic is my guy.
Rustic is what I want to do for now until... And I always wanted to cook comfort food. I think the stuff that I've always originated as my cuisine is the stuff that's, like, very basic and comforting from a home perspective, because that's how I love to cook. And what Birdie G's was the opportunity for Jeremy to open his restaurant.
Yeah. And
create it to be something that I can also have as my opportunity to open and run my own restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I left Rustic Canyon with the intention of garnishing more knowledge for the opening of Birdie G's. Gotcha. So there was about like a 6-month period. So I left Rustic as chef de cuisine.
That was that right after you did 12 days, right? Because I remember that was part of the topic of conversation. Your whole family came to 12 days, and it was like, hey, this is like kind of like a goodbye because you're going to go and do this thing.
Yeah.
But the team that you brought up there would be very instrumental after that, right?
Yeah, so Andy Dubrava.
Yeah.
So when we did 12 days, Saw, who was the executive chef at Tallulah's, now he actually just recently left. Halloween was his last day there.
Yeah.
But Saw is the executive chef at Tallulah's. Andy Dubrava is the executive chef now at Rustic, and he was our sous chef for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then myself, and basically you have a trifecta. It's funny. I'll show you in my hallway. There's a picture of the 4 of us, and that 12 days, especially for me, having my family,
both
was
of your
my
families,
uncle and his wife, my uncle and my tia Miranda and my nana, the 5 of them, to have them there and share that experience. And my mother's been able to experience restaurants with me, my family has above, but for us, my aunt and uncle live in Napa. They're all located up there, and so it was just a really, really genuinely incredible thing for me personally to have as that, like, culmination of one of my last memories of Rustic.
Yeah.
And so, and the last, like, 3 months of my time at Rustic were incredible. Like, the 12 days of Christmas. In March, I went to New Orleans with Indie Chefs Week with Grover Smith, and he invited me, and I met people that I love dearly now that have actually even assisted me with my departure from Birdie's and, like, helping me get jobs. Like, that one New Orleans trip was, like, a whole new thing for me. And then when I left Rustic Canyon, the next week, the first week of April, we had already scheduled to do the Synergy series, the first dinner at Spoon and Stable in Minneapolis with Gavin Kaysen. And so I left Rustic. The 31st of March was my last day. But our plan was to still do this event together. So it was Jeremy and myself, and then our buddy Steve, who worked with Jeremy, and who else went with us? Let me think. I think his name's Cameron. Hold on. I think it's Cameron. I can't believe I'm spacing out on his name.
Cameron, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
If that's not your name.
I'm like, what the hell? And so we went to Spoon and Stable, set up for the Synergy Series dinner, had the most incredible